What up, kings, queens, and in betweens? This is Laban King. I am excited because guess what, you guys? I just witnessed something so amazing, so incredible, and I want to share it with you all. So, guess what, you guys? Literally, about 2 minutes ago, the Clark Sisters movie was just released and it came out on Lifetime. First of all, shout out to Lifetime. I almost failed out of college because I used to watch Lifetime movies all the time. Lifetime is a thing where if you turn it on, you cannot turn it off. And I almost failed out of school because at the University of Michigan, I would sit back and watch Lifetime. But I do want to talk about the movie. This is my review. This is going to be an honest review. I love the movie. I do have some critiques, and I'll talk about that. But I wrote notes. So first of all, let me just say this. I'm from Detroit, born and raised, and there is no artist in the world who have touched my heart as much as the Clark Sisters. Do me a favor, subscribe to my YouTube, share this video, like it, and also let me know what you think. Okay, so there's no group in the world there's no recording artist, so not just group, that has inspired me more than the Clark Sisters. Like, I'm the biggest Clark Sisters fans as a group as well as their individual albums. I can talk about Jackie's Oil of God album. I can talk about, all of Karen's albums, Dorinda's and Twinkies. I'm just the biggest fan. So let me give you when I met the Clark Sisters. I met the Clark Sisters when I was about 6 years old. My dad used to be over a organization called SAB, and that meant Save African American Boys. And I remember the committee hired the Clark Sisters to perform at their fundraiser. And so as a little boy, I was backstage and I saw them rehearsing, and I was like, I had to have been like 6, 7 years old. And I'm like, wow, like these ladies are pretty and they can sing like that. Like, I remember, and this was on Ford Road in Dearborn, Michigan. And there was an auditorium right near there. And I was just like, dang, these girls can like really, really sing. And I was a fan ever since. So I would ask my mom and dad to take me to Schaefer and 7 Mile to a record store called God's World. And I was like, Dad, Mom, can I get, a Clark Sisters album? And my parents would always give it to me. And the one thing about my parents, they knew I loved the Clark Sisters. So anything Clark Sisters related, I mean, they would get to me. So shout out to my mother and shout out to my father, who is no longer around. But I shout out to them because they knew how much I loved them, and they really, really supported me in my love for them. The Clark Sisters, so when I found out that the movie was happening, I was excited, but then I wasn't. I was excited, number one, because I love them. And I love Angela Burchett and Kiara Shear. Those are two young ladies that I've had the opportunity to get to know. I know Angela way better than Kiara. And I know Karen's son, Drew, amazing young man. But I was excited because of the opportunity, but I did not think that they were going to keep it real. And they used to be lying. The one thing that I admire about the whole Clark Sheard Moss family is they are very private in their personal business. And I was like, okay, it's going to be 2 hours of, but let me tell you something. They kept it real. They kept it real. Like, I'm pretty sure that a lot of things that were shared in the movie were very difficult for them. But I appreciate that they kept it real because a lot of things we knew, but we didn't know. Perfect example. The Clark Sisters never really talked about their dad. Like, in interviews, you always hear them honor Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, but you never really hear them talk about their dad. And so I already knew it was something kind of like going on with their dad, but they never really talked about it. And see, and the one thing that I admire about them, and I'll say this because it reminds me of my mother. I've never heard my mother say anything negative about my grandfather. I've only met my grandfather on her side one time. I was 3 years old. Um, and because I was 3 and then he passed away the next year, I didn't know my grandfather. And the weirdest thing, out of all my family, I look like my grandfather. But the one thing I can truly say is I've never heard my grandfather, my mother, say anything negative about her dad. I found out about my grandfather through my own research. And while I love him, my grandfather was just like the Clark's dad. You know, abuse was common back then. And, you know, men who were insecure would try to diminish Black women's light. And so for them to share that, and they kept it brief, they didn't want to like let their dad be the enemy, because the Clark's dad, you know, Elder Clark, that was the common narrative back then. As you all know, my degree is in history, so I'm going to be doing a lot of historical stuff. So we'll talk about that. But that was the common narrative. A lot of husbands communicated with their wives through violence. And that was the first time that I've heard Elder Clark say that. And the one thing I want us as people to look at is the fact that the behavior was wrong, but the behavior was the normal back then. And so as spiritual people, we have to forgive people, because in a few hours, it's Easter. And when Jesus hung on the cross, he said, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And so with my grandfathers and with the Clark's grandfathers, as spiritual people, we have to forgive them, because they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what they were doing. The first scene, so let's talk about the movie. The first scene was the Clark sisters singing. What a perfect scene to start off with. I mean, them young ladies in the movie, they wailed. Like, so the one thing I want y'all to know is that they were not lip syncing in the movie at all. They weren't lip syncing. That was actually their vocals, which is amazing, because, you know, the one thing, perfect example with What's Love Got to Do with It, with Angela Bassett. I love Angela Bassett, but she lip synced. This, and don't get me wrong, What's Love Got to Do with It is one of my favorite movies of all time. But the fact that the producers and the studio hired great actresses that are phenomenal singers is amazing. I'm really curious to see that the audition process, because that's tough. Like, I mean, first of all, you got Angela Burchett, and Kira Shear, and Christina from Zayel, and the other two ladies, Shelia, and the one that played Denise. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry, sweetheart. First of all, you're a pretty, you know, lovely dark-skinned woman. And you're so pretty. I was like, dang, like her skin is amazing. Like, did she have a Rihanna Finney? Did she have on Laura Mercer? Did she have a little bit of Bobby Brown? Like that, like the young lady that played Denise. And I just watched the video, so I haven't been able to like Google names, but she was so pretty. I was like, dang, like, how many chemical pills does she get? Anyway, so what was I saying? Maybe stay focused. So to make a long story short, so they started off wailing. It set the tone for the movie. So let me look at my notes. So the first scene, they were wailing, and then they showed them as little girls, and they showed them being woken up at the middle of the night because Dr. Mandy Moth Clark had a song in her head, and she wanted to show them like the actual notes before she forgot. And I'm just thinking, like, this woman really, really believed and saw a vision in her daughters that No one else saw at that time. You know, the first scene took place in 1963. And during 1963, like, you know, it was the civil rights movement. Um, and the fact that, like, in Detroit, my hometown, uh, like their mother guided them to a road of excellence instead of standard. Instead of standard, she believed in her daughters enough to make sure that her daughters lived a normal childhood, but at the same time, let them know, I'll let you live a normal childhood, but you're not normal children. You are special and you are anointed, and I'm going to push you. So, one of the difficult parts, and I actually cried on the scene, is when Elder Clark was physically abusive to Dr. Mattie Moss Clark and Jackie. Now, let me just say this. Jackie has always been someone who I've loved and admired. Like, one time I ran into her at Home Depot in Detroit. This was years ago. And I was about to pass out because, like, this is Jackie Clark Chisholm. Like, her spirit has I've always admired her spirit. And, you know, Angela Burchett, who played her, Angela Burchett and her sisters, Anisha and Antea, I have been their biggest fans from day one. We all grew up in the same church, Greater Grace Temple, Detroit. And then my family to Greater Grace Temple, O.G. Hayes Memorial in Inkster, Michigan, and then Taylor. But I truly, like the fact that Angie, who has always had a Jackie spirit, played Jackie, is unreal. Like, Angie Burchett, like, listen, the Lord is working on me. He is so not done. But, like, the Burchett sisters, I just wish that, like, one day I could have a spirit like them. I feel like I would be a better person. I would be richer. I'm real ghetto. Don't listen. My name is Dr. Laban King, but and to see Angie, like to play a woman that has been a symbol of unity and peace, like Jackie Clark. And shout out to Angel, her daughter, who's a phenomenal vocalist. Like, I admire Jackie so much, and like when the Oil of God came out, her album, I was so excited, and I love that album. Because it's so genuine and it's so real. And to see, you know, Jackie does not have the same father as the rest of the Clark sisters. And so to see what she went through, and the abuse that she went through, that was hard for me to watch. And I cried. Do me a favor, share the video. Share the video right now if you can. Share it. Like, subscribe, share. This is my first, like, really YouTube video doing this, so it is what it is. Let me see. The second scene is a conflict between Dr. Mattie Moss Clark and Denise. And basically, like, Dr. Mattie Moss Clark was saying, you know what, Denise, like, your anointing is not in your gift, it's in your life. And when she said that, that made so much sense, because, like, you see so many people who are phenomenal singers, but us church folks say it ain't got no oil in them. And the thing that I love the most about Dr. Mattie Moss Clark was that she was hard on her girls about their craft, but she was even harder about their life. See, runs and riffs will not get you into heaven. Melismas, tone, your growl, that's not going to get you into heaven. It's your life. All that other stuff is extra. There's a saying that, you know, it's icing on the cake. Nobody goes to a bakery and just orders icing. They order the cake. And so as spiritual people, we have to make sure that the cake is right. All that other extra shit, excuse me, I told you I'm ghetto. Stuff, your looks, the runs, the riffs, the outfits, That is extra, but that will not usher you into heaven. And I'm so glad that Dr. Maddie Moss Clark let her daughters know it's way more than the music. And I hope that you gospel singers now understand that. You cannot be talented and unanointed. Listen, us fans, we see it. We see it. Sorry. There's some great singers I know. I would never buy the album and I would never go out to them because they ain't got no oil in them. Okay. The second scene, which was amazing, was the fact that Dr. Maddie Moss Clark has created a name for herself by this point with the Kojic Church. Okay. She has different titles. She's, already had gold albums. But in her greatness, she understood when to pass the torch down. And she told Twinkie, I want you over the group. You have something that I don't have. And so because you have something that I don't have, I am trusting you with this. That shows you how humble that woman was. It could have been her living her life through her daughters, but that was never her goal. It was never her goal. And then she spoke to Karen and said, I'm gonna start putting you out there. You got something. I'm gonna put you out there. And then as Karen began to get put out there, opportunity came to Karen. Now, let me just say this. I've always told people, opportunity does not always equal blessing. And the fact that Karen got pulled aside and was like, yo, you better than your sisters. You didn't do the solo album. And she said no, speaks to the fact that Karen was so rooted in the love for her family that she turned down God knows what. Who knows would have been able to happen with Karen back in the day. And then they wanted her to sing secular music. And Karen said no. First of all, I love Karen Clark. Like, man, I love her to death. Like, she's everything to me. And the fact that she said no, it shows that like she really meant what she was doing and she loved her sisters enough not to leave them. Twinkie sold her music for a Cadillac. That scene is so significant because a lot of times as children, we do stupid things to prove to our parents that we are grown. Loving parents mean well for you. And sometimes the sternness, the hardness is difficult to understand because you're a child. You don't get it. You don't have kids. You don't understand the protection. Perfect example, I don't have kids. So I don't understand the protection that my parents have to me because I don't have the ability to because I'm not a parent. And so when Dr. Maddie Moss Clark was mad at Twinkie, she was mad because you sitting up here trying to prove that you've grown, and I'm sitting up here trying to create generational wealth for you guys. I'm not your enemy. That's what she was telling Twinkie. I'm your mother, but I'm your biggest fan. And when I leave this earth, I want you to have something. But you trying to be grown, you just gave the one thing away. And that was such a powerful scene. Let me tell you something. The only verse in the Bible that gives you longevity with life is if you honor thy mother and thy father. That is the only verse in the Bible that gives you longevity in life. And so what Dr. Maddie Moss Clark was saying was just honor me because I'm not going to lead you wrong. Okay. So Denise has always been a mystery to us Clark Sisters fans. They have done a great job with loving Denise, but also not really exposing things for what they really were. And the one thing that I admire about the Denise character is very complex. And here's the thing, I actually understand Denise. I understand Denise because Dr. Manny Mouse Clark had a vision for her daughters. And the vision can only come to pass if the people he had the vision for share that same vision. And so basically, Denise was like, this is not what I want. And Denise has that right to not want that for her life. She does. I respect Denise and I understand her because sometimes as parents, we can kind of force something on our kids and they mean well, the parents mean well. But if that's not what that child wants, then you have to respect that. And so, like, Denise, I get you. I understand you. Now, we're going to talk about you in a second, though, like, because I'm not going to let you off the hook, Denise. But when Denise got pregnant, Dr. Manny Mouse Clark sat her down. And I'm pretty sure that that was a difficult thing for Dr. Manny Mouse Clark to do, was sit her own daughter down. But it was necessary because this was not a group that was just about family and will accept anything. This was a group that was about God, and God's word requires certain things out of people. And when you fall out of the requirements, you need to step back and examine your life. And Dr. Manny Mouse Clark did that. She said, Denise, you know, what we sing about, you're not doing. And so because of it, I need you to scale back. I'm sure that that was a very tough thing for Dr. Manny Mouse Clark to do. And I'm sure it was a tough thing for her sisters to see Denise not going, because the one thing I love about this movie is that before the movie, you really didn't know if the sisters liked Denise or not. You can tell they loved her. You can tell they still do love her. And they want her to come back home. And we'll talk about that in a second, Denise, because I gotta give you my opinion about you, Denise. I want to see you. As a fan, I can't wait to see all five of y'all on that stage together. I don't care if you ain't practiced in 30 years. I don't care if you're singing in Z sharp. Denise, before the Lord calls you home or before the Lord calls me home, I want to see you on that stage with Jackie, Dorinda, Karen, and Twinkie. Stop playing games, woman. Get right. Well, we're going to talk about you in a second, Denise. I love you, though. I don't know you, never met you, never seen you, but I love you. So, Dorinda's husband, Greg, I met him one time. And the funniest thing is, when I met him, I didn't even know he's Dorinda's husband. I met him, like, randomly I can't even remember where, but, like, I just did. That was the most beautiful love story. And shout out to Dorinda's son, J. Cole. Dorinda has a daughter. I don't know her daughter personally. I do know J. Cole. J. Cole is just like he's just like a good dude. Like, he's just a good dude, you know. And I haven't seen him in years, but shout out to you, J. Cole. But to see like the love story between Dorinda's husband, Greg, and Dorinda, I didn't know that like they met in a choir. And so I thought that was really, really like great. But I think like Jackie, you know, so recently Jackie lost her husband, Glenn. He hasn't even been probably dead for like 6 months. And the fact that like they highlighted him in the most beautiful way. I mean, it's just, and I never met Jackie's husband. But I do know Jackie's daughter, Angel, phenomenal singer. Oh my God. When I tell you I love Angel, I haven't seen Angel in forever. But like every time I would see her, like she just warmed my heart. And she reminds you of her mother, Jackie. But I mean, when I tell you vocally, Angel, I'm waiting on the Angel. As a matter of fact, Angel, listen, I'll give you some money for your album. Her voice, she's like, she's a clean soprano. A clean soprano. I mean, a clean soprano. And I just really cannot wait till Angel gets her moment. Like that girl, her voice and her spirit, and she's just a beautiful girl. I mean, oh, like Angel, if you ever in Atlanta, hit me up. I'm gonna take you to this restaurant. You're gonna love it. If you like seafood. If you don't like seafood, let me know. If you got an allergy, I don't know. But juicy crab. Listen, y'all, I love juicy crab. Okay, let me go back to my notes. Bishop Sheard. So get this. Karen, Kiera, J. Drew. I know. I do not know Bishop Sheard. I've never met him officially. I watch him on like in his church on the internet, and he's a great preacher. But the one thing about Bishop Sheard is he's a little bit intimidating. Like I actually, the funniest thing is I actually sat across the hall. I mean, the aisle from him when Kiera performed her live album, BRL album in Chicago. Bishop Sheard and I were on the same flight. We flew from Detroit to Chicago, and I went there. It was at the Harold Washington Center in Southside Chicago. And I didn't say anything to him because he's a very intimidating man. And so the thing I love the most about this movie is it showed his softer side. I think that sometimes as people of God, we can not show our softer side. And Jay Drew, his son, is like the most incredible young man ever, and Kiera and Karen. And so I will always wonder, like, how are they that way? But Bishop Sheard seems a little like mean. And that's just because he's just a man's man and he's just so strong that sometimes that can become intimidating. So I love the fact that they showed his softer side, they showed his human side, and they showed that his love for his wife. Because when I tell y'all, Karen loves her husband. I mean, loves him. And in this movie, I understood why. He loves her. He loves her. He loved her from day one. And that love story, like when he proposed to her, it looked like they were on a college campus. I don't know where they were at. Like, but that was just so endearing. And it gave me, it's just, I was just like, okay, I get it now. I get it. Twinkie. The second scene is her writing the song You Brought the Sunshine. And the one thing that Twinkie has always said is that she knows that, like, that song comes from the Stevie Wonder song. Jamming, okay. But the thing I loved the most about it was as she was writing the song, she opened up the Bible and she used the Bible as a reference to actually write her songs. And that's the thing, like, if your music is not rooted in the word, like you ain't got to sit up here and quote Bible verses like verbatim, but gospel music should come from the gospel. I mean, am I wrong? Do you disagree with me? Like gospel music should come from the gospel. And so it just shows you how like the source of all of Twinkie's music comes from the Bible, the gospel. And that's why the music is so effective. It sticks with you because there's some meat behind it. There's an anchoring behind it. And so as she was writing, You Brought the Sunshine, and you gotta understand, back in the day, those type of chords and those type of lyrics, not lyrics, but just the spirit of the song was considered backsliding. Like, you know, I remember when Kirk Franklin's Stomp came out, that was hard for a lot of people in the church because everybody like, this don't sound like no gospel song. And so when you listen to Kirk Franklin's Stomp, you have to, which is like one of the biggest selling gospel songs of all time, you have to think about how that big song and the influence of it was encouraged by You Brought the Sunshine. So let me look at my other notes. So at this point, it's the Grammys. And the fact that the Clark sisters the funniest thing about that scene is that Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark was going over that schedule. And she was talking about they had to perform at a Kojic church and they had to perform at this convention and then they had to perform at the Grammys. And so then the Clark sisters was like, wait, we're performing at the Grammys? She was like, yeah. I love Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark's reaction. And her reaction shows you that she didn't care about any of the earthly accomplishments because the Grammys are the pinnacle of music. Say what you want, they are. And the fact that they, in the 70s, were asked to sing at the Grammys and Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark is like, we sing there. This is just nothing but another gig to minister. Meant that they didn't do it for the money or the awards. They did it because they wanted to serve God. And that's like what I love about Dr. Maddie. Like she was just like, okay, yeah. But the thing I love the most is that the Clark sisters, in their moment, they invited their mother to share it with them. Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark was already a gold-selling singer, but she never got that moment by herself. And so the Clark sisters were so humbled to share that moment. And that means a lot to me because it's just like, Mom, we pass it, like what you did for us, we about to give you this moment. And the fact that, Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark is no longer here, but to know that like she had that moment because of her daughters, that was her daughters returning the favor to her. Incredible. The thing I love the most is that they were honest about conflict. Let me tell you something. Family can fight. Family can argue. When Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark said, tell me why you hate me so much. To me, that was, first of all, I've had that conversation with my parents when I have a vision for myself one way and then they think that, I hate them because what they think, I don't think. And Denise basically said, it's not that I hate you, it's just that I don't want to be in this image that you look at me as. That's a normal conflict in a family. And a lot of times the older generation, they hold things to heart and it's like, it's not that I don't like you, I love you, but I have the right to live my life. And so seeing that conflict play out was very, very crucial because Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark wanted Denise to do well and meant well for her. But sometimes we don't understand how what we want sometimes can be in conflict with somebody else's want. And I appreciate that, that they shared that. Twinkie getting married. Let me tell you something, you women. If a man loves you, he is not going to encourage you to leave your family. Real love does not require separation for new love. And so I don't know. They didn't really go into details. I don't know whether this was a Twinkie doing or whether, well, they did kind of go into it later. But it's like, Twinkie, like, if somebody loves you, they're not going to sit up here and even allow you to leave your sisters or your family. And so when Twinkie left the group, I remember when the album Miracle came out and it was just 3 of them. And I was just like, oh, okay, this is new. Especially because Twinkie was a songwriter in the group. I'm just glad that like Twinkie allowed them to kind of show that. Because I'm pretty sure that was hard. And I'm pretty sure that to this day, she has a few regrets about that. But when I tell you, it just shows you how women, to be a real wife, have had to compromise so much. And that's the one thing that I love about Bishop Shear. he never told Karen to dim her light. He never told Karen to dim her light. Greg and Glenn never told Dorinda and Jackie to dim their light. They said, baby, go. Go, baby. And to Greg, to Bishop Shear, and to the late Glenn, as a young man from Detroit, living in Atlanta right now, thank you for not dimming your wife's light, because I needed them to shine. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Okay. The scene in which Dr. Mattie Moss Clark gave Jackie some pants as a gift. That was such a powerful scene. And you know why that was powerful? It was powerful because I grew up in the Apostolic Church, Greater Grace Temple, where the current Clark Sisters church is, Greater Emmanuel. I grew up in that church. My mom and dad got married in that church. I got christened in the church. And I remember back in the day where women could not walk into a sanctuary with pants. And the thing that I love the most about Dr. Mattie Moss Clark giving Jackie pants was it showed that even in the Kojic doctrine, she realized that there were certain things that were repressive to women, and it showed her growth. Jackie came to the house one time with pants, and Mattie wouldn't let Jackie in. So for Mattie to give Jackie some pants, it showed, you know what? I don't serve a petty God. You can wear your pants. That showed growth. And the most beautiful thing about that is, like, as we all are indoctrinated things that of man's rules that ain't got nothing to do with salvation, ain't got nothing to do with heaven. And it showed how Dr. Mattie Moss Clark was on a consistent and constant spiritual growth. There's a song called A Praying Spirit. And the song is a praying spirit throughout the day. So what that means is I just want to be prayed up, and every day as I'm praying, Lord, make me better. Even if the change is just a little bit, Lord, make me better. And so I love the fact that even as she was getting older, she got better. Like Dr. Mattie Moss Clark was not milk, she was wine. The older milk is, the more spoiled it is. The older wine is, the more valuable it is. And the thing I loved about Dr. Mattie Moss Clark is that as she got older, she just got better. She got better as a singer, as a musician, but as a woman and as a mother. And I admire that, because I admire my mom right now, because my mom is getting better as a mom as she's getting older. She was a great mom as I was growing up, but as she gets older, like I look at my mom like, really? You trying to be real great. Go on with yourself. And so I can see my mom in in Mattie Moss Clark. The fact that Jackie was saying that Karen was the Michael Jackson of the group shows that Jackie is not no hater. Jackie loves her. Like, this movie highlighted Jackie, and I'm so glad. Like, we all know Karen, we all know Dorinda and Twinkie, and I love them. But this was Jackie's moment. And Angela, I feel like y'all gonna all win an Emmy, but Angela, you gotta win Best Actress, because you highlighted Jackie in a way that nobody knows. You gave her just due. You gave her just due. And the fact that Jackie has been the rock, she's been the anchor, and she hasn't got her just due. Angela, I salute you. You gave that woman her just due. You made me proud. And I've always loved Jackie. And I'm just like, y'all sleeping on Jackie. Y'all sleeping on Jackie. What about Jackie? And the fact that now people can understand why I love Jackie so much. She the rock. She the rock. She the anchor. And Angela, you did her justice. When Dr. Maddie Moss Clark was on her deathbed, and she said, and the nurse was like, "You're great," and then she said, "I want you, they are better than me." She told this white woman that was a nurse, like, "Yo, these my daughters, but they're better than me." That is the measure of a parent. A parent should want to birth a child that can do way more than they didn't do. You know, my dad used to always say, "Laban, take the good in me and put the good in you, and you'll be great." My dad's number one prayer and my mom's number one prayer was that I be better than them. And so, my dad passed away 10 years ago, but I know he is in heaven like, "Nigga, go." Because I've made a lot more money than my dad. I've accomplished a lot more things, but that was my dad's goal for me and my sister. And so like for Dr. Maddie Moss Clark to say on her deathbed, "These girls are better than me." That's just that is a miracle. That's a miracle. And like it got emotional for me to see something like that. It really did. Like, just crazy. Why is my comments turned off? I don't want my comments to be turned off. How do you do this? This is my first time doing YouTube Live. Sorry, anyway, then it was Dorinda's suicide attempt. And let me say, Dorinda talked about, her suicide attempt. I'm glad she put that in there because Dorinda, first of all, I listen to Dorinda every single day. The Rose of Gospel, that first album. And let me tell you something, Clark Sisters. I need y'all to sing "Show Me the Way to Your Heart" live. I need a live version of it. I love Dorinda's version of the album. I need a live version. Show me the way to your heart. Teach me. Oh, Jackie, oh Lord. I love it. I'm not going to try Karen right now. We're not going to do that. And then Karen. So Karen had what I am thinking is either a lap band surgery or a gastric bypass. And I remember when Karen was sick, I was a nervous wreck. I was a senior in high school, and I was just like, if Karen doesn't make it out of this thing, I'm just done. I don't know what I can do. And I remember her first concert after she got out of the hospital. She had a white and like purple, a white and purple like outfit on, and she had like a reddish blonde wig, and she walked out on stage. First of all, and she was thin. But when I tell you that woman wailed that day, she wailed. And she came out with with the album Second Chance, which I wish that she would have did that live because, well, first of all, Karen, let me tell you something, Karen. Any song that you do in the studio, you have to give us a live version. You are a live singer. The studio cannot contain you, woman. I was at your Heavens Are Telling recording, and you did I Won't Let Go live. The fact that you never released that, I'm mad about that to this day because I ain't never heard you sing a song like that. You slaughtered that, and then Dorinda came up there, got to hold on. I was like, it was. You lost your mind, Karen, with that. And she meant that I won't let go. Like she. You lost your mind with that. That woman. Don't get me wrong. The whole live album was great. But when she went in the back, she changed outfits, and then she came back out and she sang "I Won't Let Go." And Donald Lawrence produced that album, that song, and he produced the Heavens Are Telling. So, and with Melody Daniels and what's that young lady, Anita? Who can opens doors that I never. Anita, oh, Jesus will. I can't think of it. Anyway, Anita, I love that. Jesus will. I just right now I just can't think of it. No shade. Um, and the girl that played Dorinda, first of all, Dorinda has just a voice that cannot be imitated. So the fact that you played Dorinda and you did it to a level of excellence, because honestly, Dorinda was the one. First of all, Kiara's playing Karen. I know she's gonna do a good job. But Dorinda was the one I was like, I got to see about this. The verdict is out. That and she's so pretty too. That girl that played Dorinda, I think her name's Sheila. I don't know her name, but I mean, she literally sang the garbage out of that song. I mean, sang the garbage out of it, and it's like, dude, like you really just did Dorinda some justice. That's a difficult thing to do because Dorinda has such a. To me, Dorinda has. First of all, to be honest, Dorinda, I'm gonna just say this. I need one R&B album for me. I know you don't want to do it, but I need I need a rock and roll album. I need a gospel rock and roll album from Dorinda. Dorinda is the Tina Turner of gospel. And I love me some Tina Turner. But you know why? Because so let me tell you something. I left my granddad's funeral early to go to Tina Turner concert. I did, ain't no use me lying. To be able to sing like that hard, that's very difficult. And most vocalists will go hoarse. And the fact that Dorinda can sing hard like that and be so complex with her runs and riffs and her technique. And let me tell you the one thing about Dorinda too. Let's talk about Dorinda real quick. So, do you realize that Dorinda, my best friend, his name is Jeremy. Dorinda was my best friend's vocal coach in like the late 90s, 2000s. Dorinda, the Clark sisters were already huge, respected, but Dorinda still trained singers in Detroit at the Clark Conservatory. Talk about like just humble and serving God. Like people don't do that. And so the fact that like she did that during that time was nothing but amazing. And I mean, like this is Dorinda Clark Cole, Grammy nominated singer in Oak Park. I think like the Clark Conservatory was in Oak Park, training the next generation. Dorinda, you better go on with your bad self. But Karen Clark Shear's Second Chance. I love that album. You know, what's my favorite? I was a bird on the ground using my legs to get around. I was a piano out of tune. I can't wait. And let me just have a personal moment. I cannot wait till I can sing that song and it can be real for my life. I was a bird on the ground using my, like, why would a bird just be walking when you got wings? And so like, I encourage you, like, use all your gifts and don't marginalize yourself. And then, you know, Kiara and Karen have a song, I will never forget the man named Jesus. And so one day I was listening to it because y'all know I got ear. And I'm like, da 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 da. Here's the story of a man named Brady. He had three. They got that from the Brady Bunch. They had to. The chords are too similar. I don't know. I've never asked somebody, did y'all get that from the Brady Bunch? That's the Brady Bunch. Here's a story of a man named Brady. And that's like, so if y'all listen to the Brady Bunch and then listen to that song on Second Chance with Karen and Kiara, that sounds familiar, Karen and Kiara. I don't know. Anyway, so at this point, Mattie Moss Clark has died. Now, I actually went to Mattie Moss Clark's funeral. I was young. My grandma went, so my sister and I went. And that scene, I remember it. Like, I remember it. Like, so get this. I remember the Clark sisters went to Thomas Whitfield's funeral. and it was at this church called St. Paul Tabernacle on 6 Mile and like Woodward area. And I remember them walking in, and I was just like, "Oh my God, like that's the Clark sisters." And my grandma used to go to every single like everybody's funeral, so like I was there. But I remember Dr. Manny Moss Clark's funeral, and I've never, from my memory, I've never seen Dr. Manny Moss Clark when she was alive. I only saw her when she passed away, and I remember that scene. And you know, the one thing about funerals in the Black community is funerals bring out some mess. They do. It's happened in my family, and I'm sure it's happened in yours. And I'm glad that they highlighted that because, like, it's real. The thing I love the most about this movie, and I'm not gonna go into it right now, I'm gonna do it at the end, is that like they told the story of a loving Black family and the trials and tribulations that it comes to loving your family. Nobody's perfect, but you're still family. And even with me, I'm learning that there are family members that I didn't deal with. And this whole week, like I've been apologizing to people because I'm like, I cannot promote the Clark sisters music and the Burchesters music and not be right with my own family. And so we'll talk about that later. But in Twinkie's darkest moments, she talked to the spirit of Dr. Manny Moss Clark. And you know, like I said, my dad passed away. And in my darkest moments, I call on my dad. My dad was a phenomenal man. And one day, you know, I hope that his story is told. But in my dark moments, when nobody's around, when I don't have the strength to call my mom or my sister or my friend or my family, I ask my dad for guidance. And just like how Dr. Manny Moss Clark in the spirit world still guided Twinkie and the rest of her daughters, that's what my dad still does for me. And so in that moment, you know, I was crying like crazy. I was like, this is us. So let me. Wow, I got through with this kind of fast. Let me just say, I'm gonna give you my honest critique. I do have one thing that I did not that I wish that the movie incorporated. The Clark sisters have a brother. And so I wish that there was at least one scene that kind of showed him because he's a mystery to a lot of us. I mean, I know he doesn't sing. I know he's not in the music industry, but I do wish that they had let the world know that they do have one brother. I don't know the relationship of the brother with the Clark sisters. But he does exist. And so I do wish that they had shown that. But the thing that like I am so impressed by, the ladies that played the Clark sisters, they're great actresses. Like, you know, Kiara is not one of my favorite singers, one of the greatest singers of all time. Let's just be real. I never seen Kiara act. And to be honest, I was like, okay, I'm hoping she gonna pull this off. Phenomenal. Christina, Sheila, and the young lady that played Denise, phenomenal. But Angie Burchett. Angie has done acting on Broadway. Unfortunately, I've never seen her on Broadway. But her, like, I'm like, Angie, like, and it's just like, God, how, like, why do you give her so much talent? Like, can you, like, it's like Angie gave, like, God gave Angie, like, just an overabundance of talent. And I'm just like, how you sing the way you sing, and then you can act, nigga? What? I mean, they all did a phenomenal job where even if they did lip sync, like if it wasn't their vocals, phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. And then when they showed the Clark sisters at the very end, let me just say this too. Back up. When Twinkie was ready to lead the group, she prophesied to Karen, "You are a songwriter." And Karen didn't even believe that she had that gift in her. Fast forward, the first song of the year. So in the Grammys, anything that says song, that goes to songwriters. The fact that Twinkie songwriting abilities are the reason why the Clark sisters are huge, but the first reward of the Grammys award rather came from Karen writing. Twinkie sold that into her. She sold that into her. And I love how like when Karen wanted to do like the last album or the one last time, how Bishop Sheard was like, "Twinkie, like come back home." Like the thing I love the most about Bishop Sheard, Greg and Glenn, they were the Clark sisters' brothers. They weren't their brother-in-law. They were their brothers. Like Bishop Sheard and Glenn was like Twinkie's brother. Like they are a family that is not bound by the restrictions of blood, if that makes any sense. I'll just say this, like today was a huge day for me to watch this. You know, on Instagram, I was promoting this thing like you would have thought that I owned the movie. And a lot of people unfollowed me because I spam my Instagram. And I'm okay with that. I love who I love. And I will lose strangers for the people that I love. And I love the Clark sisters. I love Kiara Sheard. I love Bishop J.J. Sheard. I love J. Drew, the son. I love Angel, J. Cole. But when I tell you, I love those Burchett sisters, Antea, Anisha, and Angela. And so if you want to unfollow me because I'm showing love for my people, nigga, bye. You won't be missed because I'm a very successful person. But my success, it's because of my mother and father, first of all, my sister. But it's because I was able to be around such great people and I was able to witness such greatness. You know, I was in the audience when Karen did It's Not Over album. And I moved to New York in 2006 and I was working in the music industry. And when stuff didn't go well, I remember being homeless in New York, falling asleep on the subway and listening to It's Not Over. And that was the album that kept me from losing my mind. And, you know, Never Cease to Worship and Right Here With You, written by Damian Sneed, like these were the moments that no one has witnessed in my life that I've never really even shared. And it was the music that got me through. Like I've thought about suicide and I'll tell you about that later on. But like I'm just so happy that like the Lord used them to bless me and to bless so many people. And I'm excited for them. I'm encouraged. And I'm also convicted. See, if you watch that movie and you are not convicted, if you're doing something wrong in your life and you're not convicted to get it right, then what was the movie for? And so, to me, this movie was a challenge. Laban, do better. Do better, because you are better. Be like Maddie. Excellence only. Mediocrity. The funniest thing is when she woke the daughters up and the young woman said, "Easy," and Maddie said, "Don't you cuss in my house." The fact that she considered the word easy a cuss word in her house. You guys, this was beautiful. And to the ladies that played them, thank you. Missy Elliott, Queen Latifah, and Mary J. Blige. First of all, I met Mary. I love Mary. Mary, I love you. Especially the song on your album. It's called "Hurt Again." I wish you came out with a single for that. Queen Latifah, the fact that my dad's last days, we would listen to your Dana Owens album. I Want to Meet You So Bad. Like, I think I would cry if I met Queen Latifah. And Missy Elliott, I mean, this is Missy. Like, Missy had everybody dancing. Like, I met Missy before a long time ago. Love her to death. The fact that they used, like, God elevated Yah, and then through Yah elevation, Yah gave a platform for the Clark sisters and the new generation, and especially for my girl Angie. I love Yah. To Dr. Holly Carter, I've never met you. I don't know you personally, but I followed your career. You are a beast, and hopefully one day, we'll meet. But I admire you, and as a businessman myself, you are everything. I'm Dr. Laban King. You're Dr. Holly Carter, and so thank you so much for spearheading this thing. And Donald Lawrence. One time I sat next to you on a plane, and I just didn't say anything because I'm like, this is Donald Lawrence. We were going from Detroit to somewhere, maybe Chicago, and I'm sitting next to Donald Lawrence, but I gotta be cool, right? I gotta be gangster. But I'm like, Donald, like, what you can do? First of all, wait. Let's stop this. Let's stop it. Do y'all understand that Donald Lawrence is a professor at Northwestern University? Shout out to Christine, who was one of my good friends who actually studied under him. She went to Northwestern. Northwestern is one of the greatest institutions in the world. This Negro is a professor at one of the top 20 institutions, top 10 institutions in the world. Like, this is not just no Negro. And what he brought out of Karen and the Clark sisters and the girls that played him, she played them, unreal. Like, it's just, I'm so full, I'm so honored, I'm so grateful. And if you guys have not seen the movie, please go and see it. I'm gonna see it again. I just saw, 2 minutes before I started this live, and so I'm still full. I may have missed some things, but the one thing that this movie highlights is, number one, love for family. We all need that. Number two, redemption and forgiveness. Number three, excellence. Number four, continuing to do things for the right reasons, even when you don't think people are seeing it. Number five, honoring thy mother and thy father. Because I'm pretty sure they could have said a lot of things about their dad that they didn't. They kept that real short, sweet, and simple. But it's amazing. And I pray that, and I know that an Emmy Award is written on all of their names. Like, and let me just say this, you guys, like to the Clark sisters, just thank you. Thank you. Just thank you. Even Denise, thank you. Thank you. To the ladies that played the Clark sisters, thank you. Kiara, thank you. But that Angela Burchett, don't cry, Laban. Don't cry. Angela, I have admired your sister, since I was a little kid. And to finally see that you got your moment. Words cannot even express how happy I am. And the one thing that I have to say, Thank you, Kiara and the Clark sisters, for representing our hometown, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, we have a legacy of gospel, I mean, excuse me, of R&B music from Motown. But Detroit, we got so much more, and it's because of gospel roots. Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Fred Hammond, you know, Dietrich Haddon, Demita, the Winans. I do wish, I will say this, I do wish that they incorporated a little bit of the Winans in the movie, because the Winans and the Clarks went to high school together. So I wish that, they have incorporated that, but I mean, it's what it is. I mean, the Winans had their own movie when they came. And let me say this too. Remember in the 90s when the Winans came out with a tour? And then my whole family went. I'm gonna need the Clarks and the Mosses and the Shears to do a tour. And shout out to honoring Bill Moss, Jay Moss's dad. Like, Bill Moss was a beast. And we cannot forget Bill Moss and Jay Moss. Like, Jay Moss vocally, oh my God, like, I would use my voice if I were a singer. You are a singer and you sing well. So shout out to Jay Moss. But I'm gonna need the Clark sisters to come out with a tour, and I'm gonna need for the girls that played them to be on that tour. I'll sponsor it. I help you with sponsorship because I want to see it. But I hope you guys find this review good. Do me a favor and like this, comment, and share. I'm going to open up the comments. This is my first time doing a live YouTube, so I got to do some, twinks or whatever with it. But my favorite Clark Sisters song is two of them. I tried to go back and forth between what's my one favorite, and I just can't. So my favorite is My Redeemer Liveth and Instrument. And I love Nothing to Lose too, but My Redeemer Liveth and Instrument is my favorite. What is your favorite Clark Sisters song? I'm looking for a miracle. And before I close, I got to give props to Jeju Sheard. The one thing about Bishop Sheard and Karen Clark Sheard, they have raised incredible children. And the one thing I want you to understand is, when the mics are off and when they're off stage, they are real. They are great people. And, one time I was skating with Karen, BRL had a skating event, and I was on the skating floor, and I was just saying, you've raised wonderful children. We talked about a lot, but I admire Kiara and Jeju so much. And I mean, Angel and J. Cole. Now, I know they have other cousins. I don't know the rest of the cousins. But they are real. And I'm just glad that they all are alive to see the day. Dr. Emmanuel Clark is no longer around, and their dad is not, but I'm just proud that Twinkie is around. I know Twinkie has some health issues, and Dorinda was about to give it up, and Karen has some issues. And I'm just, I'm admired. And let me tell you, Jackie, in this COVID-19, situation, Jackie is a registered nurse, and so it's good to see, the fact that she got a talent and a skill. But I love you all. Follow me on Instagram. At Laban King, subscribe. That's LABANKING, and please share this. And if you just tell someone about this movie, because this is a great family movie that needs to be shared. I love you all. Until next time, God bless.